Hey Flosstube, it's Amy. Welcome back to Amityville. A whole new year happened and everything, guys. A whole new year. But, hi, I'm back. For those of you who hung out and waited for me, maybe waited for me or just thought, she was making videos, now she's not. I don't know. Yeah. Just didn't have the motivation, and when I had the motivation, didn't have the space and the privacy, then you know how it goes. Life, breathing in and out every day, sometimes that can be a chore. So today is January the 31st, 2019, and I'm here. I'm here to say hi. I'm here to say that I'm breathing in and out. I'm here to say that I have been stitching, though I've only been stitching on one thing. I've been listening to a hell of a lot of podcasts because that's me. 90% of my body is coffee because I don't think I have blood anymore. I think it's just coffee. And the other, 10%, did I math right, is podcasts because that's what I do. When people see the amount of what I've gotten done on this hay, they're like, how did you do that? How did you do that so quickly? And I don't feel as though it's been quickly. I feel as though it's been taking forever. I've been working on it since July 1st of last year, and, never had anything go on that long, but it's been worth every stitch, really. I love it. I can't quit it, obviously. So that's how, though. I put podcasts on, and I sit over there, and I get in my zone, and listen to 5 episodes of last podcast on the left talking about Jack the Ripper, because I've done that like 37 times. I'm not really exaggerating. So, they're my guys, and I can't quit them either. Addictive personality, right? It's just me. So, so I've been working on that hay, so I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It's small, but you guys have seen it before anyway. The Witch's Apprentice by Lisa Parker. So, yep. So for hay, there it is. That's what it looks like. It's a mini. I call it my Amity cat because all black cats are Amity cats. And if you're new here, Amity is my black cat that I currently don't have custody of. She lives with her dad in Virginia, but I'll be with her again soon. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so like I said, I've been working on it since July, and 9 pages are totally complete. Okay. Yeah, you can see I'm starting on page 10. I do cross country, all black across them, but that's the bottom. Like literally, that's the last bit. So this is what she looks like right now. She's not ironed. She's still half in the damn Q-snap because it's a lot of fabric. It's a pain to get it back on the Q-snap. But, yeah, I think she's beautiful. And the last 3 pages aren't full pages. They're like half pages. I'm calling it a half. Yeah, I'm calling it a half page. So, that's where I am. And, that's what podcasts will do to you. So if y'all need any motivation to get done any of your stuff, and listening to things is your thing, and maybe audiobooks, maybe not so much, because that's strange. I can listen to podcasts, and I can listen to someone talk about things, but listening to someone else read to me, I don't know. I don't know. I can't do audiobooks. But I like books. I like to hold a book. So, and since I haven't found a way to hold a book, read it, and cross-stitch at the same time, it's the podcast life for me. So that is The Witch's Apprentice, and that is all I've been working on since November. That is all I have to show you as far as progress on anything. I have other whips. I haven't really touched them. If I have, it's been very minimal. I don't think I've worked on anything else, honestly, since then. I can tell you that, no, I'm not going to show any of this stuff, but last year I have my book right here, so that's what I'm looking at. I had 32 finishes last year. I've finished absolutely nothing this year so far, though that I do plan on finishing. Yeah, that's happening. I have to order some DMC though, because I have a fear that I might run out, and it's not really a fear like, oh, running out, like I don't have anything else to work on. My fear is if I wait to order it and I put that down and I start working on other things, when the floss finally comes in, I'm not going to want to pick it up, and then, you know, like, that's my fear. I think it's unwarranted, but I fear nonetheless. So I need to get on that. I need to order some floss. I think I'll be okay, but I just want to be sure. So that's that. I only have very few plans. I plan on working on In Bulk, which is the last one that I have to do for the Sabbath Sal. It's a freebie by the Primitive Hair. It's on her blog. And that's it. That's the last one that I have to do. So I have plans for other pagan related projects to do as the wheel turns, but all the Primitive Hair ones will be complete. So I'll be working on that tonight into tomorrow, because tomorrow's In Bulk. Usually I have it done by now and I have it displayed on my altar up there, but that did not happen. So, because, which is bonus, can't quit it. Can't quit it. So that's a plan. That's going to happen. My other plan is also, because the Dimension Sal that Michelle from Romantic Tangle and I came up with, that's an open-ended Sal that's still happening. Hashtag Dimension Sal on Instagram. I love Dimensions kits. I actually have 2 of them in the works right now, the whips that I haven't touched, but I have a new start planned, which is going to be Magic in Motion, which is this amazing wizard in his beautiful robes and just this amazingness. This was a gift from Michelle, Romantic Tangle. I will link her because she is amazing. This is an older kit, so the floss is not organized, which is fine because there's really not that many colors in this, and they're all pretty different. So it's not like you have 47 different blues that look kind of alike but aren't. So yeah, and it's on 14 count Black Ada, which shouldn't make me go much more blind than I already am. That's going to be a new start. But speaking of starts, I know a lot of people were coming into the new year not wanting to start anything because they started all of the things for so many years that they've decided that they weren't going to do maybe any new starts for like the first couple of months, or maybe the first 6 months, or for the whole year. And I wanted to help with that, and I have whips that I've brought into this year. So the Stitcher's Coven, my group on Facebook, I decided to come up with the Sal Whiplash. So WIP, obviously, lash. So that everybody could work on the whips that they wanted to work on. And that could be any whip. It doesn't have to be dark and witchy and Halloween, and, you know, it could be anything. I don't care. It could be a birth sampler, you know, for your kid that was born 30 years ago. You know, hey, things happen, and you don't always get back to that birth sampler, right? So, fine. You know, or a wedding sampler after you married your husband 18 years ago. Whatever. Any whip. It doesn't matter when you started that whip. If you started that project on New Year's Eve, by January 1st that became a whip. And so that's why we're doing Whiplash. And it's any whip, any kind, anything, any subject, it does not matter. But it's to help people, motivate them to work on their whips. And a lot of people have already been finishing a lot of things. Um, if you're a member of the Citrus Coven and you would like that work sort of showcased on the group's Instagram, because I like to do that. I like to show off people's talents and their work because it's work and you should be proud of it. It's a talent that you should be proud of. And I like to do that for the members of the Citrus Coven. Now, saying that, you don't have to be a member of the Citrus Coven Facebook group. Like, if you follow the Citrus Coven on Instagram, but you're not on Facebook, you don't want to deal with that crap, that's cool. You just let me know what's the pattern, who's the designer, so I can credit that, and what your name, your Instagram name, obviously, because I tag you and I credit you, and just the other stuff, like, what kind of fabric you used, because some people will ask, flosses, whatever. I mean, you don't have to give me a list of DMC. If all you used was DMC, just say I used it with DMC. That's fine. Yeah, so if you're following the Citrus Coven on Instagram, then you've seen some of the whips that have now become FOs. Some have become FFOs because people are just better than me at that. So yeah, I've been showcasing a lot of those on there, so go check out that stuff because it's awesome. And I'm thinking that I might run Whiplash for the whole year. It was supposed to only be a 3-month sale, but I think I might run it for the whole year because I think a lot of people have decided that maybe they weren't going to do any new starts for 6 months, and I think some people are now like, you know what, I got enough whips to, I'm going to do it all year. And if you have that willpower to not start the things, and you just want to whiplash it up, yep, bring your 11 billion whips, it's fine. So that is happening in the Citrus Coven. We've had a lot of members join, which is very cool. So much so, I mean, I've, because of that breathing in and out everyday thing, that sometimes is difficult. I've enlisted the help of the wonderful, beautiful, amazing Ava at Truly Wicked Crafts to help me over there, and she moderates the group for me. She's been so helpful and such a lifesaver, and I love her, and she knows this, but I love you, Ava. And I mean, I couldn't think of anybody else I'd want along for the ride because you're just awesome. And I know the Coven means a lot to you, and I appreciate that. So people have been saying such nice things about the Coven, which I never get tired of hearing. You don't have to say nice things about me, but to say nice things about the Coven, I like that when people say that they really like it there, and then it's drama-free, because it's always going to be drama-free. Don't bring that crap over there. So if you're still on the fence about wanting to join because you think, oh, it's just a witchcraft thing, it's not. Celebrate all stitching there, and you just have to answer 3 questions. They're not hard questions, not essay answers, none of that kind of thing. One of the questions is, does colorful language and dark subject matter offend you? And I ask that mainly because I don't censor language over there. It's not used profusely. You don't have to worry about that. It's just, it comes up from time to time. I'm not going to censor that. It's not going to happen. And this is me we're talking about, not censoring the language. And the dark subject matter is usually stuff because we talk about serial killers and the paranormal and horror movies and horror books and stuff like that. Stephen King gets brought up a lot. So yeah, and then there's just witchy stuff, which I don't consider dark. I mean, I don't consider it dark. And by witchcraft, I mean like the pagan stuff. I don't mean like, the dark witchy things that people seem to think goes on over there. It's not a thing, I promise. yeah, so that's what's going on there. As far as any other plans, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, you know, breathing in and out. Hopefully that continues. Because sometimes that's about all I can muster every day. So, having said that, that's as far as that's it. You know, I mean, that's really all I have for plans. That's all I mean, I plan on finishing this Hate, and then immediately starting another one because I gotta. I have it all printed out. I have it all ready to go. It's not kitted, you know, at all. So that's going to take a minute. Because it's a mini, but again, you've seen minis. They're huge. So, that's what's going on. Podcasts been happening. I have a list of those that I've been listening to because that's how stitching gets done. That's the fuel that keeps me motivated to fired up. So, podcasts that I've been listening to. Good Mourning, Nancy. Horror podcast. I've talked about it before. Hosted by two ladies, Gracie and Abby. I like it a whole bunch. They just did an episode about The Witch. They do spoilers, so if spoilers aren't your thing, I mean, they tell you pretty much about the whole premise of the movie and everything that happens, but that doesn't bother me. But every so often they do like special episodes where they'll showcase somebody in the horror community. They just did one about Clive Barker, which was amazing. Before that, I think it was Shirley Jackson. Before that, it was Vincent Price. So very, very cool stuff. You know, I found a lot of things I didn't know about Clive Barker, and I kind of really like him. So check that out if that's something that you are into. Just be warned that they say yes all the time, which makes me a little crazy. I will admit. I can't hear that 57 times. Last podcast on the left is just, you know, My Life's Blood. You know this. They're doing a series right now about Joseph Mengele, which is difficult and brutal and necessary, but brutal and difficult and stomach turning, and had to pause and walk away, cried a whole bunch, listened to some Bruce Springsteen, watched some Bob Ross because I needed Happy Little Trees and Fluffy Little Clouds, and yeah, I needed that. And I needed Bob Ross to remind me that in order to see the light, there needs to be dark, right? So, because that's something that he said, and how right was he, and I miss him, and the world is missing out without him. So yeah, so last podcast is, that's the thing. The Generation Y, which is sort of like true crime. They do a little bit of everything, missing person cases, that, you know, that kind of thing. That's hosted by two guys, Aaron and Justin. It's very cool. I'm not caught up with new episodes because when I find a podcast that I like, I go back from the very beginning, and then that's what I do. It's what I do with Flosstube as well. If you put out a Flosstube, I'm just finding you, and you have 60 videos, it's going to take a minute for me to get there because I start from the beginning. It's just what I do. The Classic Horror Cast, which is very cool, hosted by three guys, Kyle, Eric, and Sean. I love that. I think the last episode was about Return of the Living Dead, though I could totally be mistaken. I am caught up on them, but I'm going to say it was Return of the Living Dead, which is a very cool movie if you've not seen it. So that one's very cool. I love that. And then Kill by Kill, which is hosted by Patrick and Gina. That started out as a Friday the 13th podcast where they talked about all the kills in all the movies. And they went through all of them. And it's very funny and it's very cool. And I have laughed so hard that I've almost peed. I mean, I'm being honest. I've almost peed. It's so funny. But they're done Friday the 13th, and now they're starting on A Nightmare on Elm Street. So that's very cool, and I'm very excited. And then they'll come together in the end because they'll do Freddy vs. Jason. So I'll get to hear about Jason again. Speaking of Jason, look at this shirt. Look at this shirt. Yep, Sean bought it for me for Christmas. What did Jason do? If you listen to that podcast, you know what Jason does. But now you're going to learn about what Freddy did. And lore. If you guys have been doing the podcast thing, if you guys know podcasts, and you're into the same kind of thing I'm into, I'm sure you've heard of lore. If not, it is a folklore, obviously, sort of podcast hosted by a very good storyteller, I think. He gets a lot of flack, but I think he's a very great storyteller, Aaron Mahnke. And he talks about folklore stuff, which, some of it, I've heard them before, some I'm just learning about, which is very cool. I highly suggest starting from the beginning on that. The episodes are only like 25 minutes a piece. It's very short, but riveting, and I love it. So I am nowhere near caught up on that because, like I said, I started from the beginning. I've had it in my podcast list for a very long time, and I've listened, and then, I find either another podcast or I have to listen to the 5 episodes about Jack the Ripper every time it rains, and one last podcast on the left, so yeah. And then I have to listen to the Amityville episodes or the Enfield Poltergeist or, the Ted Bundy episodes or whatever, and I forget that I have other podcasts to listen to. But I have since rediscovered my love for lore and can just binge it, and that has fueled that hate fire over there because, wow, I get so lost in that storytelling and so lost in the imagery, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So, lore. Check it out. I will list all these in the description box so that, if you haven't checked them out or you kind of wanna, I've warned you about last podcast before. If you offend easily, not a podcast for you. The other ones are fine, but last podcast can be offensive, if that's not your thing. So that's that. That's the podcast that I have been binging like crazy and listening to. That's it. I did watch Flosstube yesterday. I try to do Flosstube like twice a week. I try to catch up on people. I know yesterday I watched Vicky and Jesse and Michelle Bendy, Julie from Kansas City Girl and Colorado World. I know there were other people. I mentioned them in my Insta stories. So if you follow me on Instagram, same name as here. I don't do Insta stories. Like, I don't talk on my Insta stories. I just, stuffs. But, yeah, I haven't caught up with Pam and Steph yet. I usually save them for, like, one of those days where it's like, I know, okay, I have 4 episodes of Pam and Steph. It's going to take about 5 hours, and I love it. So, so I haven't caught up on them yet. Yeah. So there's still so many that I have to catch up with. I also watched Trisha because Trisha 3 on Threads, she did an unboxing. And I don't do the boxes, but I love seeing her reaction to the things that she gets because I love her and she's amazing. So, yeah, that's it. At this point, I'm rambling, but it's been 2 months, but yet I have nothing to report. So that's it. Okay. I will link everybody that I talked about down below. I'll mention the Stitcher's Coven down there. I'll link that. Come over, if that's your thing. Yeah. I mean, not that it's a particular thing, it's lots of things. Lots of enabling is happening over there, because it's cross-stitch group. It's enabling. Stitchers are the most enabling people in the world. Jessie is tempting me to get the chart that she just showed yesterday in her video of the High Priestess from Tilton Crafts. I said to Sean, I said, please tell me that I don't need another chart that I'm never going to stitch in this lifetime. I'm never going to get through it. It's huge. Tell me I don't need it. And he says to me, because he's such help, he says, well, no, you don't need it, but you want it. So if you want it, then you should get it. That's not helping me, Sean. Tell me that I don't need it. So I was like, no, okay, let me think on it. Let me think on it. And I kept looking at the picture, and I was like, I really like it. I really like it. I really like it. I really like it a lot. It's beautiful. And I thought, oh, I'm never going to get to it. But you know what I will get to? I will get to a 5 CD box set of Dio, because I love Ronnie James Dio. He's my favorite metal singer ever. Like, amazing. I miss him so hard. So yeah, so I got a 5 CD box set of Ronnie James Dio, because I can listen to that and stitch and dream about the charts that I wish that I could finish in this lifetime, or my 14th, you know, whichever. So that's going to happen. Lots of Dio listening is going to happen, as it should, because he was an amazing singer, songwriter, performer, human being. Miss him so bad. So that's it. That's all that's been going on. I am not going to promise when I'll be back. I'm not going to promise that I will be back. I am just going to say that it was nice to talk at you. Follow me on Instagram. I'm pretty, I don't know that I'm regular with any social media thing lately, except my group. I'm there as much as I can, because I love that place and it gives me the most happiness. So that's it. I will talk to you at some point-ish, somehow, some way. I will talk at you. So, I don't know. I guess until later, you know, just listen to all these podcasts. Unless you offend easily, then don't listen to the last podcast. But listen to all of them. And stitch the stuff, and start some stuff, and whiplash the hell out of some stuff. The hashtag on Instagram is whiplashTSC. You know, do that. And stitch dimensions kits, dimensions sew. And, I don't know. Until later, I'll see ya.